Qur'an, Qur'an, Qur'an.
Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidil Anbiya'i wal Mursaleen. Amma ba'd, fa'a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. My dear respected viewers of Madani Channel, we once again welcome you in our program, Background of Quranic Revelations. In this program, we select ayahs of Quran and we talk about its background, accounts relating to this very selected ayah, and the pearls we can learn from this, the message of that very verse of the Quran. So be with us from start to end, inshallah. Immense amount of knowledge we'll be learning today. Before we proceed towards our topic of the day, let's make few good intentions, because my Shaykh Tariqat, Amir of Ahl Sunnah, Hazrat Allama Maulana Muhammad Ilyas Attar Qadri, Damat Barakatuhum Al-Aliyah, has given us a beautiful mindset. We should make good intentions before we perform any permissible task or do any good deed. As I am presenting this program, I make this intention, inshallah, I will present it for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It should be the foremost intention of every believer. As you're watching this program, make intention, you will watch from start to end, you'll remember what you learn, act upon, and pass this knowledge on to others too, inshallah azza wa jal. Respected viewers, the ayah of Quran which has been selected for today's program, and that is regarding love of Mustafa Kareem alayhi salatu wassalam. Subhanallah. And in Surah Tawbah verse 24, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions,
قل إن كان آباؤكم وأبناؤكم وإخوانكم وأزواجكم وعشيرتكم وأموال اقترفتموها وتجارة تخشون كسادها ومساكن ترضونها أحب إليكم من الله ورسوله وجهاد في سبيله فتربصوا حتى يأتي الله بأمره والله لا يهدي القوم الفاسقين.
Translation from Kanzul Iman. Say you, O beloved, if your fathers and your sons and your brothers and your wives and your family and your acquired wealth and the trade in which you fear loss and the houses of your liking, all these things are dearer to you than Allah and His Messenger, and fighting in His path, then wait until Allah sends His command, i.e. punishment, and Allah does not guide the transgressors. Respected viewers of Madani Channel, in this very verse of Quran, the things which have been mentioned, relations which have been mentioned, the possessions which have been mentioned, it is a natural fact that person has got liking for them. He has got love for his parents, children, relatives, or the business he does, right? Or the house he has built. So he's got a natural attraction towards these things. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned them and then said, if you love these things more than Allah and His Messenger alayhi salatu wasalam, then wait for the command of Allah. The reason of the revelation of this ayah, one of the reasons which has been mentioned is that in the battle of Badr, when Muslims, they were in front of the army of enemy consisted of 1,000, whereas Muslims were only 313 in number. And respectively, the situation was such that these people, they had migrated from Makkatul Mukarramah to Madinatul Nabi Zadaha Allahu Sharfan wa Ta'zima. Actually, these people who were the migrants, their relatives, they used to live in Makkatul Mukarramah. And now in this battlefield, their own relatives, they had come to fight against them. Now, in this side where the Muslims were there, and on the other side where the enemy was there, even in both sides, the people, they were confronted to each other. Some of them, they were related to each other. It is mentioned that this ayah was revealed for Hazrat Abu Ubaidah bin Jarrah radiyallahu ta'ala an's honor, when he confronted his own father in this battlefield. It is also mentioned that Hazrat Umar radiyallahu ta'ala an confronted his own uncle in this battlefield, and Hazrat Ali radiyallahu ta'ala an also confronted with many of his close relatives in this very battlefield of Badr. The reason why did they do that? Because they loved Allah and His Messenger more than anything they possessed. Allahu Akbar. Yes, my dear respected viewers of Madani Channel, these were Sahaba Kiram alayhim Ridwan. Even their own relatives were in front of them. But when it came to prove who they love more, they proved that they loved Allah and His beloved Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam more than anything. Allahu Akbar. And even they confronted their own relatives in the battlefield of Badr. According to one narration, the background of this ayah is that Hazrat Hatib radiyallahu ta'ala an, a Sahabi Rasul who had also participated in Badr. When Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam had made intention to conquer Mecca, Hazrat Hatib radiyallahu ta'ala, he wrote a letter, and in which the intention of Muslims were all written, that they are making intention to conquer Mecca. The details were written, and he gave it to a woman, and that woman took this letter to Makkatul Mukarramah. Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam is Nabi of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Knowledge of unseen was granted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam, and Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam sent someone behind that woman, and they approached her in middle of her journey, and they took that letter from her and brought back to the court of Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam. Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alayhi wasallam saw that, and it was proved that this was written by Hatib radiyallahu ta'ala. Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam called him, and he radiyallahu an came in the court of Mustafa sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alayhi wasallam. And Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam inquired about that letter. He said that I do not have a slightest of disagreement with my iman, like I am believer, no doubt at all in this, but actually my relatives, they reside in Makkatul Mukarramah, and I sent this letter so that I could do some favor upon Quraysh, and in return of that favor they would not cause any harm to my family. This was the reason I sent this letter. Respected viewers, when Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam heard this excuse of Hatib radiyallahu ta'ala an, then Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alayhi wasallam announced the forgiveness for Hatib radiyallahu ta'ala. And one of the reasons was also this, that for the people who participated in the battle of Badr, for them was the announcement of forgiveness. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's Habib Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam forgave him, and announcement of his forgiveness was made. And this is also one of the sabab of nuzul, the reason of the revelation of this very ayah, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned that, say you, O beloved, if your fathers and your sons and your brothers and your wives and your family and your acquired wealth and the trade in which you fear loss and the houses of your liking, all these things are dearer to you than Allah and His Messenger and fighting in His path, then wait until Allah sends His command, i.e. punishment, and Allah does not guide the transgressors. Respected viewers, here Hazrat Imam Ahlul Sunnah, Hazrat Allama Imam Ahmad Raza Khan alayhi rahmatur rahman, he writes, from this ayah we come to know that the one who keeps dearer any respected one, any relative, any wealth, anything more than Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he is rejected from the court of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not guide him towards him, and he should remain in the weight of punishment from the court of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ ta'ala. Your beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said, none of you have faith until I am more beloved to him than his children, his father, and all of the people. Respected viewers, here this hadith has clarified clearly the one who keeps someone else dearer more than Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam when he is not a Muslim. Qazi Iyaz rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi says that this ayah karima is enough as a proof for the compulsion of the love of Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam in one's life. Meaning it is mandatory. Love of Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam is mandatory. It's compulsory. It's fard. It's important. And the one who has love of his own life, his children, or mal or wealth more than the love of Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam, then in this ayah that person has been warned. And it has been mentioned,
فَتَرَبَّصُوا حَتَّى يَأْتِيَ اللَّهُ بِأَمْرِهِ.
One should wait for the command of Allah, meaning the punishment of Allah. Further, in the end of this ayah, such people, they've been referred as fasiq, transgressors. As we mentioned, that these people are from misguided, gumrah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not given them the ability, tawfiq of hidayah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq that we also taste the love of Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam. The way Sahaba Kiram, they loved Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam. They sacrificed each and everything they possessed. They left their wealth, they left their houses, they left their businesses, they left their relatives. They left everything for Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam. And respective viewers of Madani Channel, even they sacrificed their own life for the sake of Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam. This made their iman complete. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also give us tawfiq that we love Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam, because Muhammad ki muhabbat deen haq ki shart awwal hai, gar ho isi mein khami to sab kuch namukammal hai. Sallu ala al-Habib, sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad. That's all for today. We'll be back with another beautiful episode. Until then, keep watching Madani Channel. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.